Hi, JJ. One of the questions I have today is I think most of us tend to forget until we get on a bus and drive. We forget about those 60 screaming children behind you. Do you have any thoughts on managing those kids and driving them safely?
Yes. Actually, it is not the end of the world. It can be done. And most kids, most parents, most members of the community can be very supportive. And very often, if you are act like a professional and you are understanding of them, but you can at the same time be firm about and clear about what you want, normally most people will be your best allies. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, I think it's important to keep in mind that inside this bus, this is not a classroom. This is a school bus, and my first goal is to make sure that I transport the kids safely from point A to point B. Therefore, there might be certain rules that are relevant to a classroom settings that are totally irrelevant to what goes on on this bus. And each school bus driver, we each have our own style. Some school bus drivers, they have a tougher time with noise. I personally don't. And what I'm trying to say is, if you know that, narrow down the list to certain points that are critical to you. I do not want my kids to go up and down, jump on the seats, while I drive the bus, because that's for their own safety. I don't mind if they talk, I don't mind if they laugh, but I have a certain set of rules that I posted inside my bus that is visible, that is simple. Do not push, remain seated, and so on. So that's what matters to me. That's my bottom line, and I emphasize that. I'm not trying to make them act, without talking, without noise. That is just, you've got to choose your battles and emphasize what is important on your bus. And I think it's important also. Kids will might not have that many opportunities to burn energy in a given day. You have to keep in mind we're in 2015. They have access to those cell phones. They are distracted by technology all the time. So they will not necessarily behave the same way I did at the same age. And it's important to keep in mind. It's important to keep in mind that if they do not pay attention to what you're saying on the first time, at the first time, it is not the end of the world. It is not personal. It is not that they are trying to challenge you, that they are trying to disrespect you. Sometimes you might have to remind them several times to, you have to remain patient and ask them to please sit down, and so on. You cannot afford having a personal vendetta, trying to win a personality contest with one of the kids. You cannot do that, because that split second that you are upset with one of the kids, that might cost your life, that might cost the life of these kids or members of the community. So this is very important to run things smoothly, to always remain professional. Same with the drivers in general. Most drivers are very courteous, but it's important to keep your cool, because there will be people who will make honest mistakes. Sometimes they're not necessarily that well trained. They'll make honest mistakes. Sometimes they will go out of their way to be belligerent. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And I think that the best way to handle it is to always be professional and to drive defensively. Because this vehicle it weighs 15 tons. It can cause a lot of damage, and you always have to think to see things. If you feel that jeopardy might happen, always see it coming way ahead of time, so that way everything will run smoothly. The worst scenario will not even come close to become reality.
Thank you.
Thank you.